The rain hammered against the window like fists demanding entry, but it was the knock that stopped my heart. A sharp, insistent rap that echoed through the empty apartment. I froze, fork halfway to my mouth, the takeout Chinese growing cold on the coffee table, as if the storm outside had conspired with fate to drag me back into the nightmare I'd buried 6 months ago. When I yanked open the door, there he stood, Jamie, the spitting image of Jordan, drenched and trembling, his voice a ragged whisper that sliced through the downpour. "Alex, he's dying. And he told me to tell you the truth before it's too late." I stared at him, the world tilting on its axis, because Jamie's face, those sharp cheekbones, the stormy blue eyes, the tousled dark hair plastered to his forehead, was Jordan's, but twisted by something raw and unfamiliar, like a mirror cracked just enough to reflect a stranger's pain. My ex and I had ended in a blaze of accusations and slammed doors, his family's homophobic whispers poisoning every goodbye until I walked away from the love I'd thought unbreakable. Now, this ghost at my threshold, clutching a soaked envelope, spoke of death and secrets, and in that instant, the walls I'd built around my heart cracked wide open, letting in the flood. Jamie's breath came in gasps as he stepped inside, water pooling at his feet on the hardwood floor of my cramped Brooklyn walk-up. "I know you hate us, hate him, but this isn't about that. Jordan, cancer, stage 4. He collapsed last week, and in the hospital, between the morphine drips, he made me promise." His hands shook as he thrust the envelope toward me, the paper warped and ink-smudged, addressed in Jordan's looping script. "For Alex, read this alone." I took it, fingers brushing his, and felt the electric jolt of recognition, the same spark that had once ignited late-night confessions and stolen kisses in Central Park. But I couldn't move, rooted there in the hallway light's harsh glow, the storm's rumble underscoring the silence stretching between us. Jamie, Jordan's identical twin, the brother who'd always been the golden child, straight-laced lawyer with a wife and a picket fence life in the suburbs, looked at me now with eyes stripped bare, no judgment, just desperation. "He said you'd understand, that you were the only one who ever did." The words hung heavy, stirring the embers of resentment I'd nursed like a bruise. Jordan's hesitation to come out fully, the family dinners where his mother's sidelong glances had turned our joy to ash, the final fight where he'd chosen silence over solidarity. I led him to the living room, the envelope burning in my pocket like contraband, and poured us both scotch from the bottle I'd saved for worse days. As he sipped, steam rising from his damp shirt, Jamie unfolded the tale in halting fragments. Jordan's diagnosis months after our breakup, hidden from everyone but him, a secret gnawing at the man I'd loved until it hollowed him out. "He didn't want pity," Jamie said, voice cracking. "Especially not from you. Thought he'd ruined everything already." Ruined? The word ignited the old fire. Our love had been a battlefield, passionate debates over pride parades versus quiet Sundays, his fear of his conservative parents clashing with my unapologetic queerness, until the final straw, his refusal to hold my hand at his sister's wedding, the crowd's murmurs amplifying his shame. Yet here was Jamie, the twin I'd met only in passing, awkward family gatherings where he'd nod politely, while Jordan and I stole glances across the table. We'd never spoken more than pleasantries, but now, in the dim lamplight, I saw the differences. Jamie's jaw tighter, his laugh lines softer, as if life had etched him with quieter sorrows. "Why you?" I asked, the scotch warming the edges of my anger. "Why not tell me himself?" Jamie's gaze dropped to his glass. "Because he's scared. Of what you'll say. Of losing you all over again." The envelope weighed on me through the night, unopened, as Jamie crashed on my couch, exhaustion claiming him in uneven snores. I paced the kitchen, the city lights blurring through rain-streaked glass, replaying our history like a scratched record. Jordan and I had met at a queer-lit reading in the village. Him, the closeted editor with a penchant for forbidden memoirs. Me, the out-and-proud graphic designer sketching portraits of lovers who'd survived the unthinkable. Our first date, rooftop bar, skyline glittering, his hand tentative in mine as he confessed his family's Bible-thumping legacy. I'd fallen hard, believing love could rewrite scripts. But cracks formed early. His mother's calls, laced with scripture, his father's gruff silences at holidays. I'd pushed for authenticity, where the rainbow pin, introduce me as your partner, and he'd retreated, whispering apologies in the dark. The breakup was inevitable, a storm of my own making perhaps, when I demanded he choose. Now, facing mortality, had he? Dawn crept in, gray and unforgiving, and I slit the envelope with a butter knife, the letter spilling out like a confession. Alex, if you're reading this, I'm out of time. I lied to you that last night, not about loving you, but about why I couldn't fight harder. There's a secret, one that would shatter everything, and Jamie knows it now. Forgive me. Come see me. Jordan. My pulse thundered as I refolded the paper, the words blurring with unshed tears. A secret? What fresh hell was this? Jamie stirred, eyes fluttering open, and in that vulnerable moment, I saw not Jordan's echo, but a man unmoored, reaching for connection amid the wreckage. He wants you there, Jamie murmured, sitting up. At the hospital. Today. The request hung between us, a bridge or a trap, and as I nodded, the first twist of the day uncoiled in my gut. Forgiveness wasn't the issue, trust was, and it had been broken long before the rain. We drove through the deluge, wipers slashing like accusations, the envelope tucked in my jacket like a talisman. Manhattan's towers loomed, indifferent to personal apocalypses, and as we parked near Mount Sinai, Jamie's hand grazed my arm, hesitant, seeking. Thank you, he said simply, and I wondered at the warmth in his voice, so unlike Jordan's guarded tones. Inside, the sterile hall smelled of antiseptic regret, nurses bustling past like sentinels. Jordan's room was at the end, door ajar, revealing a figure diminished, tubes snaking like vines, his once vibrant face pale against the pillow. He turned his head at our entrance, eyes lighting with a mix of relief and terror. Alex. My name was a breath, pulling me forward despite the chasm. I took his hand, cool and fragile, the touch reigniting memories. Lazy mornings in his bed, fingers intertwined, dreaming of a future unscarred by judgment. You came. His voice was a rasp, but the smile, God, that smile, cracked my resolve. Jamie hovered by the door, silent witness, as Jordan's gaze flicked between us, waited with the unspoken. I had to, I said, throat tight. The letter. What secret, Jordan? What could be worse than this? He closed his eyes, a tear escaping, and when he spoke, the room tilted again. It's not just me. It's us, all of us. Mom and Dad. They knew. About you and me. From the beginning. And they used it to control everything. The revelation landed like a grenade, shrapnel of betrayal embedding deep. His parents, the paragons of propriety, aware of our love and weaponizing silence, it reframed every sideways glance, every hushed argument. Jamie's sharp intake of breath confirmed it. He'd learned this bombshell too, the twin bond fracturing under family lies. They threatened to disown him if he didn't end it, Jamie added, voice hollow. Told him I'd lose my job, my marriage, if whispers got out. We were all pawns. The room spun with implications. My pain, not just Jordan's cowardice, but orchestrated cruelty. Anger surged, hot and clarifying, but beneath it, pity for the man who'd carried this alone, his body now betraying him as thoroughly as his blood had. We talked in fragments, apologies tumbling from Jordan's lips, my questions sharp as scalpels, peeling back layers of deception. Jamie interjected softly, bridging gaps with details I'd missed, how Jordan had confessed to him weeks ago, begging him to deliver the message, to make amends if he couldn't. As visiting hours waned, a nurse ushered us out, but not before Jordan pressed a key into my palm. Cold metal, labeled Storage Unit 47. There's proof, he whispered. Letters, recordings. Burn them if you want. Or use them. I love you, Alex. Always did. Outside, the rain had eased to a drizzle, mirroring the tentative thaw in my chest. Jamie and I stood under the awning, the key heavy in my hand. What now? He asked, vulnerability etching his features. For the first time, I saw him not as Jordan's shadow, but as his own man. Divorced quietly last year, grappling with his own hidden truths, the family's homophobia a specter over his life too. We go get the box, I said, surprising myself with the we. It was a step, fragile as new ice, toward unraveling the knots of misunderstanding that had bound us all. The storage unit was in Queens, a labyrinth of metal doors under fluorescent buzz, the air thick with dust and forgotten lives. Unit 47 yielded a battered cardboard box, taped shut with yellowing evidence of age. Back in my apartment, we pried it open like Pandora's, spilling forth yellowed letters, cassette tapes labeled with dates from our early days, and a journal in Jordan's hand, pages filled with anguish over his parents' ultimatums. They recorded calls. Jamie read aloud from a transcript, his face ashen. Threats to expose not just you, Alex, but old rumors about me. Me? The word hung, and Jamie's cheeks flushed, eyes darting away. The twist deepened. Jamie, the straight twin, harboring his own secrets? A faded photo slipped out, a younger him at a pride event, arm around a man with a shy smile. I wasn't ready, he admitted, voice barely above whisper. Dad caught me once, in college. Brushed it under the rug with conditions. I married to fit the mold, but it crumbled. The confession bridged us, two survivors of the same toxic legacy, our pains mirroring in unexpected symmetry. As night fell, we sifted through the detritus, laughter bubbling up amid the tears, stories of Jordan's teenage rebellions, my own family's acceptance, a stark contrast that now felt like a lifeline. Tension simmered. Not just grief, but a nascent spark. Jamie's glances lingering, his hand steadying mine over a crumbling letter. It wasn't replacement, God, no, but possibility, the kind that defies labels, born from shared scars. Yet doubt lingered. Was this real, or grief's cruel slight? The phone buzzed. Hospital, Jordan stable for now, and with it, resolve hardened. Tomorrow, confrontation, the parents, unwitting architects of our ruin. But sleep evaded, the couch a barrier between us, whispers crossing the dark like tentative threads. You're braver than he ever was, Jamie said, and in the moonlight his face, so like, yet unlike, stirred something profound, a love not borrowed, but forged anew from ashes. The morning sun sliced through the blinds like Judgment Day, casting stripes across the living room where Jamie still slept, curled under the throw blanket I'd draped over him hours before. I brewed coffee strong enough to scour regrets, the aroma mingling with the faint must of the open box on the table, its contents a Pandora's trove we'd barely begun to navigate. My phone vibrated, a text from an unknown number. Alex, it's Evelyn, Jordan's mom. We need to talk. Now. The summons chilled me, her name a synonym for subtle barbs and averted eyes, but armed with the truth, I replied, on my way. With Jamie. Jamie's eyes snapped open at the plan, surprise flickering before resolve settled. Together, he echoed, sitting up, the blanket pooling around his waist. In the light, details sharpened. The faint scar above his eyebrow from a childhood fall Jordan had taken the blame for, the way his hair curled just a touch wilder. Twins, yes, but divergences in every line, like two trees from the same root, bent by different winds. They owe us answers, he agreed, and as we dressed, me in jeans and a faded pride tee, him borrowing my too tight sweater, the air crackled with alliance, fragile but fierce. The drive to their suburban Long Island home was a gauntlet of silence broken by radio snippets, a queer activist's interview on NPR, tales of resilience that mirrored our own unfolding drama. Jamie's fingers drummed the wheel, betraying nerves, and I shared a story from my design days, sketching murals for a trans youth center, the joy of visibility, to ease the knot. His laugh came soft, genuine, and when our eyes met at a red light, the world narrowed to that charged space, unspoken questions hovering. What if this bond outlasted the storm? The house loomed, all colonial facade and manicured lawn, a monument to facade. Evelyn answered the door, her smile brittle as spun glass, silver hair pinned in perpetual elegance. Boys, she greeted, the word laced with old condescension, ushering us into the sunroom where Richard nursed a newspaper, his mustache twitching like a barometer of discomfort. Coffee appeared, porcelain cups, saucers clinking with tension, and as we sat, the air thickened, the box's secrets an invisible third presence. You've seen him, Evelyn began, eyes darting to Jamie. The doctors say. Her voice trailed, and Richard cleared his throat, folding the paper with deliberate folds. We're family here. Whatever burdens Jordan carries, we share. The platitude ignited me. I slid a letter across the table, one detailing their threats, transcribed in stark black ink. Share this, I challenged, voice steady despite the quake inside. Evelyn's face drained, porcelain cracking, as she scanned the words. This is exaggerated. Recorded, Jamie interjected, voice steel for the first time, sliding a cassette forward. Play it. Richard's hand hovered, then withdrew, as if burned. The room descended into a vortex of denials. Evelyn's tears strategic, Richard's bluster defensive, unraveling into admissions. Fear of scandal in their church circle, whispers of Jordan's phase, morphing into control. We loved him, Evelyn pleaded. Wanted to protect you all. Protect? The word twisted like a knife, evoking locked closets and silenced truths. Jamie's voice broke the fray. You protected your image. At our expense. His hand found mine under the table, an anchor in the tumult, and in that grip, solidarity bloomed, not just against them, but toward each other, a quiet revolution. Revelations cascaded, Richard's own buried doubts from youth, confessed in a whisper, Evelyn's guilt-fueled donations to LGBTQ charities, anonymous penance. It wasn't absolution, but humanity, peeling back the villainy to reveal flawed souls, their prejudice an armor forged from their own unexamined pains. We left hours later, the air lighter, if bruised, promises extracted for support, no more strings. In the car, Jamie exhaled like a man surfacing. That was cathartic. His profile against the window, softened by release, drew my gaze, and when he turned, the intensity there mirrored my own budding hope. Dinner, I suggested, impulsive, to celebrate surviving. His nod was slow, smile tentative, and as we merged onto the expressway, the city beckoning, the twist unfurled. This wasn't closure on Jordan. It was an opening to truths and tendernesses yet unnamed. Back in Brooklyn, we chose a quiet bistro in Williamsburg, dim Edison bulbs, vinyl spinning jazz standards, the kind of place where stories simmer over wine. Jamie ordered pasta, twirling it absently as he shared fragments of his unraveling marriage, the slow realization of his queerness, the wife's quiet exit with mutual grace. I envied you and Jordan, he admitted, candlelight gilding his confession. The way you owned it, unapologetic. Heat rose in my cheeks, not flattery, but recognition, the bridge between us widening with each vulnerability laid bare. I countered with my fears, the breakup scar, doubting my capacity for trust again, the design gigs drying up amid freelance woes. Love feels like a risk now, I said, fork tracing patterns in my risotto. His foot nudged mine under the table, accidental on purpose, sending a shiver up my spine. Maybe risks are where the real stories live. The words hung, charged, and as dessert arrived, tiramisu shared, spoons clinking like toasts. The tension crested, not in declaration, but in the brush of knuckles, a promise of exploration. Later, walking the bridge-lit streets, rain-slicked and alive, Jamie stopped under a street lamp, breath fogging the air. Alex about today, and us. His hesitation mirrored Jordan's once, but without the shadow, pure, unscripted. I stepped closer, heart hammering, and when our lips met, it was tentative, then deepening, a kiss tasting of redemption and rain. Not a replacement, but a revelation, love's multiplicity, defying the binaries of loss and gain. Yet dawn brought the call, Jordan, fading faster, requesting us both. The hospital room was a cocoon of beeps and hushed urgency, his form smaller, eyes brighter with fevered clarity. You too, he murmured, grasping our hands in a triad. Always knew Jamie saw you like I did. The words, laced with acceptance, dissolved the last barriers, his blessing a balm on old wounds. As he slipped into sleep, Jamie and I lingered, fingers entwined, the future unfolding in whispers, plans for support groups, art projects channeling pain into power, a shared apartment maybe, roots intertwining. But conflict loomed. Jamie's job, a firm with conservative clients, threatened by his coming out, my own isolation, friends drifting post-breakup. External pressures mounted. A family friend's leaked rumors, stirring online vitriol from old church circles. Trolling comments on my portfolio site. Fairy tale over, huh? Stoked paranoia, and Jamie's hesitation to go public echoed Jordan's ghosts. What if it costs everything? He voiced one night, pacing my studio, sketches of resilient queer icons mocking from the walls. The climax brewed at a pride planning meeting I'd dragged him to. Rainbow flags snapping in the wind. Activists debating floats versus floats of change. A heckler from his past, face twisted in recognition, spat slurs that hit like shrapnel. Jamie froze, the crowd's cheers a distant roar, until I pulled him aside, our embrace a shield. We fight or fold, I said, echoing our first real talk. His nod was fierce, and that night, he emailed his resignation, the click of send a thunderclap of liberation. Twists piled. Jordan's will, read weeks later, bequeathing us his book collection, marginalia-filled tomes of queer history, and a letter urging Jamie to love without apology, like Alex taught me. Tears flowed, but so did laughter, the absurdity of fate's generosity. My career surged with a commission for a mural at the center, Jamie joining as consultant, our collaboration a dance of ideas and stolen glances. Yet the deepest turn, discovering Jordan's journal entry on us, suspecting the spark before he'd even faded, his matchmaking from beyond a final, selfless act. In the end, as summer bloomed over the city, we stood on that same rooftop where Jordan and I had begun, Jamie's arm around me, skyline ablaze. To messages we were meant to hear, he toasted with cheap champagne. Love, it turned out, wasn't a singular door slammed shut, but a window cracked open. Messy, miraculous, ours. Jamie knelt first, placing a single rainbow flag pin on the headstone. Simple granite etched with Jordan Elias Hart, beloved son and brother, his fingers lingering as if tracing a memory. He'd hate the fuss, he said, voice rough with unswept emotion, and I nodded, throat tight, remembering Jordan's wry dismissal of memorials. Just plant a tree or something practical. Instead, we'd chosen this spot overlooking the Hudson, where he'd once dreamed of a house with a view. Us three, twins, and the interloper, laughing over bad wine. But practicality had never been our strong suit. Emotions ran deeper, currents pulling at the seams of our new normal. Back home, the apartment we'd pooled resources for, a two-bedroom in Bushwick with exposed brick and a fire escape for stargazing, hummed with the chaos of cohabitation. My sketches littered the dining table, Jamie's legal briefs stacked beside them, a visual marriage of our worlds. Yet nights brought the undercurrent, dreams where Jordan's face morphed into Jamie's, accusations blurring with affection, leaving me wakeful and wanting reassurance. You're thinking again, Jamie murmured that evening, sliding behind me at the stove where I stirred tomato sauce, his chin resting on my shoulder. The domesticity was a balm, but laced with tension, his job hunt stalled by whispers of his lifestyle change, my freelance gigs demanding late nights that left him alone with takeout and TV. Just the sauce. I lied, turning to kiss him, the contact grounding yet electric, a reminder that this love was earned, not inherited. He deepened it, hands framing my face, but pulled back with a sigh. Sam called. Wants us at her thing tomorrow. Sam, my rock since art school, a fiery lesbian with a buzz cut and a laugh that could disarm bigots, was hosting a fundraiser for her nonprofit, aiding queer youth displaced by family rejection. It's good exposure, I said, though my stomach knotted at the thought of public us, still raw from the family's fallout. Jamie's eyes shadowed. Exposure's what got Jordan sick, in a way, hiding until it ate him. The truth stung, propelling us into a late-night talk on the fire escape, city lights twinkling like distant allies, where he confessed his fear. What if I'm just the rebound? The safe twin? The question hollowed me, echoing my own doubts. Was this passion born of proximity, grief's clever disguise? I cupped his cheek, thumb tracing that scar. You're the twist I didn't see coming. Jordan was lightning. You're the steady storm. Words inadequate, but they bridged the gap, leading to a night of whispered vulnerabilities, bodies entwined not in haste, but in deliberate affirmation, emotions cresting like waves against prejudice's shore. Sam's event was in a loft space in Soho, fairy lights strung like constellations, bass thumping from a DJ set of anthems that had carried us through darker days. She enveloped us in a bear hug upon arrival, her eyes appraising. "You two clean up nice. But if he breaks your heart, twin or not, I'll key his Prius." Jamie chuckled, the sound easing the room's buzz, but as we mingled, handshakes with donors, toasts to resilience, a shadow fell. Claire, Jamie's ex, elegant in a sheath dress, glass of Chardonnay in hand like a prop in a melodrama. She approached with calculated grace, air-kissing Jamie's cheeks. "Heard about the family drama. Tragic, really." Her gaze slid to me, "Cool assessment. And you must be the catalyst." Sam materialized like a guardian, steering Claire away with barbed wit. But the encounter lingered, stirring old insecurities. Later, in a quiet corner, Jamie explained, "She knew bits about me, us twins. Used it in the divorce to paint me unstable." The revelation twisted the knife, Claire's presence a reminder that pasts don't dissolve cleanly, especially when tied to closets half-cracked. The night escalated when a donor, slurring slightly, cornered Jamie with questions. "So, twin thing, does that mean double the drama?" Laughter rippled, but his jaw clenched, hands squeezing mine white-knuckled. I pulled him to the dance floor, body swaying to Vogue, Madonna's defiance a shield. "Let them wonder," I shouted over the music, spinning him until grins broke free, the moment a micro-victory against erasure. Sam joined, trio moving in sync, her arm around my waist a sisterly anchor. That's how you do it. On the floor, on the story. But home brought the backlash, an email from Richard, forwarded chain of family whispers, Jamie's phase, like Jordan's, attached to a plea for discretion. Anger flared, propelling a call to Evelyn, my voice ablade. "Phases? Their lives. Yours included, if you'd look." Her silence was damning, but the next day, a package arrived. A scrapbook of Jordan's childhood, notes and margins forgiving the unforgivable. Progress, incremental, the family's slow thaw a subplot in our larger arc. As winter nipped, conflict crested with Jamie's job offer, from a firm known for rainbow washing but shady practices, defending corporations against discrimination suits. "It's steady," he argued over dinner, fork stabbing pasta like punctuation. "Bridge to something better." I pushed back, the irony bitter, defending the monsters who made Jordan hide. The fight spilled, accusations flying. Me, idealistic to a fault. Him, pragmatic from years of compromise. Doors slammed, silence a chasm, and in the quiet aftermath, I wandered the streets, snow dusting my coat, grappling with the psychology of it. Love's test not in harmony, but in discord navigated. Reconciliation came at dawn, Jamie at my studio door, eyes red-rimmed. "You're right. Can't build on sand." He turned down the offer, instead partnering with Sam on pro bono cases for queer rights, the decision a pivot point, deepening his character from survivor to advocate. Our bond strengthened, therapy sessions unpacking twin guilt, Jamie's survivor remorse, my interloper syndrome, turning scars to stars. Yet the ultimate twist awaited at Christmas, an invitation to the family home, Evelyn's olive branch. All of us, no conditions. Trepidation mounted, but we went, gifts wrapped in rainbow paper a subtle statement. The dinner unfolded in layers, Richard's awkward toast to new beginnings, Claire's surprise attendance stirring old flames, but Jamie's hand in mine under the table a steady pulse. Tension peaked when a cousin, emboldened by eggnog, quipped about the gay takeover, the room freezing. Jamie rose, voice calm thunder. "It's not takeover, it's truth. Jordan taught me that, through you all ignoring it." The confession cascaded, his queerness laid bare, my role affirmed, the table a battlefield of tears and tentative claps. Evelyn's embrace followed, fractured but real, the night ending in carols by the fire, harmonies imperfect yet hopeful. Spring brought renewal, my mural unveiled at the center, Jamie's portrait woven in, eyes alight with pride. Sam's wedding, to her partner, a trans poet, saw us as best men, vows echoing our own unspoken ones. And in quiet moments, on that fire escape, Jamie's head on my lap, we'd reflect. Love is labyrinth, twists of loss leading to unforeseen light. Summer heat baked the city into a haze of possibility, the kind where dreams stick like humidity to skin, and our lives, once fractured by secrets, began to weave a tapestry of deliberate joy. Jamie and I had marked 6 months with a weekend in the Catskills, hiking trails lined with wildflowers, a cabin where we cooked over open flames and talked until stars wheeled overhead. "This is what Jordan wanted," Jamie said one night, fireflies dancing like confetti. "Us free." The words settled, a benediction, but beneath the peace, undercurrents stirred, my growing unease with freelance instability, his lingering shadows from the firm's rejection letters. Back in the city, Sam became our compass, her nonprofit expanding with a grant that demanded a gala, black tie, big asks, the elite rubbing elbows with the marginalized. "You two are my secret weapons," she declared over brunch, her new wife, Lena, nodding with quiet wisdom. "Charm the wallets, but keep it real." Preparations consumed us, Jamie drilling pitches, me designing invites with subtle queer icons hidden in the flourishes. But as the date neared, a letter arrived. Anonymous, postmarked from Long Island. "Beware the heart legacy. It's poisoned." The note's venom chilled, evoking the box's darker revelations. Jordan's journal hinting at family ties to a foundation funneling money to conversion camps, masked as family values. We'd buried it, choosing healing over havoc, but now it resurfaced, paranoia creeping. Coincidence? Jamie wondered, pacing our living room, the skyline mocking our domestic bubble. I pulled him down, mapping calm on his skin. Or sabotage? Claire, her name is Spectre, the ex who'd texted sporadically, probing with feigned concern. The gala night arrived in a swirl of sequins and spotlights. The venue a converted warehouse aglow with projections of youth stories, triumphs over rejection. Jamie looked devastating in a tailored suit, bow tie askew in that endearing way. And as we entered arm in arm, heads turned not with judgment, but curiosity. Sam introduced us to donors, a tech mogul with a trans kid, a philanthropist widow who'd lost her son to AIDS-era stigma. Conversations flowed, checks written, but midway, Claire materialized, champagne flute in hand, smile sharp as glass. "Supporting the cause now?" she purred, eyes on Jamie. "Noble." The barb landed, but he parried. "Better late than never." She lingered, dropping hints, heard Richard's foundation has skeletons, before vanishing into the crowd. Doubt gnawed, propelling me to the balcony for air, where Lena found me. "Old wounds reopen," she said, her poet's insight piercing. "But they're yours to reframe." Her words a lifeline. I returned to Jamie's side, our dance a defiant waltz amid the throng. Climax struck post-auction, as Sam took the stage for thanks, a video montage of clients, one faced Jordan's, donated anonymously by us, his story sanitized but potent. Gasps rippled, Evelyn in the audience, invited as tentative ally, her face crumpling. Backstage chaos ensued, her rushing forward, apologies tumbling. We funded. God, we didn't know the extent. The foundation's dark underbelly exposed in hurried whispers. Millions to hate groups. Jordan's futile attempts to redirect exposed in board minutes we'd overlooked. Jamie and I exchanged glances, the decision fork. Expose fully, risk family implosion, or negotiate reform from within. Tension peaked in a side room. Evelyn pleading, Richard joining via phone, voices overlapping in a cacophony of regret and rationale. "Change it," Jamie demanded, my hand in his a silent vote. "Or we walk, and take the truth public." Their capitulation came swift. Board resignations, funds reallocated to queer causes. A victory bittersweet, the poison diluted but not drained. Aftermath brought introspection. Therapy deepened, Jamie unpacking twin telepathy's curse, how Jordan's silence had echoed in his own. Me confronting codependency's roots in a youth of moving targets. Father absent, mother remarrying too quick. Sam's bachelorette, a raucous karaoke night, provided levity, belting its reigning men with Lena's harmonies, laughter healing what lectures couldn't. Claire's final play, a voicemail's confessing jealousy, not malice, the note her desperate bid for attention. Forgiveness? Not yet, but understanding, a step. Fall deepened our roots. Jamie landed a role at a progressive firm, specializing in LGBTQ litigation. My studio thrived with commissions, won a series on twin flames, literal and figurative. Holidays healed further. Evelyn's table set with pride candles, Richard's stories of youth now laced with what-ifs. And in the quiet, Jamie and I plotted futures, adoption dreams, travels to queer havens like Provincetown, love as verb, active and evolving. Yet one twist lingered, a package from Jordan's editor, unpublished manuscript, his memoir, fragments dedicated to us, for the brothers' love made. Reading it aloud by lamplight, tears mingling with mirth, we closed the circle, his voice a bridge across the veil. Winter's grip loosened into a tentative spring, the city exhaling after the gala's whirlwind, but our story, far from resolved, branched into unforeseen eddies of conflict and connection. The Foundation's pivot made headlines. Heart Legacy redirected, from hate to hope, drawing activists to our door, interviews requested, Sam's nonprofit flooded with support. Jamie fielded calls with newfound poise, his profile photo now a candid of us at the mural unveiling, hands linked. "We're the poster boys," he joked, but the weight showed in shadowed eyes, the pressure to perform perfection. My own battles brewed internally. A commission for a national magazine cover, queer icons through history, stalled by creative block, Jordan's ghost whispering critiques in my ear. Too safe, I'd mutter to empty canvases, until Jamie dragged me to the Met, wandering galleries hand in hand, Van Gogh's swirls inspiring a breakthrough, portraits not polished, but raw, scars as strokes. The cover dropped to acclaim, but backlash followed. Trolls decrying gay agenda. One email hitting too close. Twins? That's just confused incest vibes. The slur cut, reviving family echoes, and I lashed out at Jamie over dinner, irrational fears spilling. What if they see us as wrong? He absorbed it, pain flickering, then countered with calm fury. They see what they fear in themselves. We're right because we're real. The makeup was fierce, apologies and touches and truths, but it highlighted the psychology's depth, my imposter syndrome clashing with his overachiever drive, a dance of push-pull that strengthened if survived. Sam mediated over coffee, her no-nonsense wisdom. Love's not a still life. It's abstract expressionism, messy, moving. External storms gathered, Richard's health scare, a mild heart episode, summoned us to Long Island. The hospital room a redux of Jordan's, monitors beeping like accusatory metronomes. Evelyn hovered, diminished, and as we waited results, she shared a letter from Jordan, undelivered. "Dad, the silence killed parts of me. Let Alex and Jamie show you life." The words bridged, Richard's gruff, "Sorry, son," to Jamie a dam breaking, tears carving paths on weathered cheeks. Recovery brought weekly calls, his questions on our world tentative bridges. That pride thing, worth the fuss? Jamie's response evolved him. Hosting a barbecue for the extended family, grill smoke carrying sense of acceptance, cousins' kids waving tiny flags. But Claire crashed it, uninvited, drama in heels, confronting Evelyn over the Foundation flip. "You chose them over blood?" The outburst ignited, but Jamie stepped in, voice level. "Blood's what we make, not born to." She left deflated, later emailing amends, a donation to Sam's cause. Her arc from antagonist to uneasy ally. Prejudice's slow erosion. High drama peaked at Pride. Grand marshals for Sam's float. Us atop a bedecked truck, rainbows billowing. The parade pulsed, drums thundering, cheers a tidal wave. But midway, counter-protesters lined the route, signs spewing hate. God hates twins. The venom targeted our uniqueness, hearts pounding as security buffered. Jamie faltered, grip tightening, flashback to Jordan's closet pulling him under. Afterglow faded into reality. Burnout crept, Jamie's caseload overwhelming, my travel for exhibits straining the tether. A weekend apart, me in LA for a panel, him in DC for a hearing, tested resolve, texts laced with longing turning to arguments over time zones. "Miss the us," he wrote, and I replied, "Building it, not breaking." Reunion sparked recommitment. Couples counseling, where we unpacked twin dynamics, Jamie's guilt as surrogate for Jordan, my fear of being the other man eternal. Subplot wove in Lena's pregnancy announcement, Sam's joy infectious, pulling us into Uncle Judy's baby-proofing advice, naming debates. It humanized, grounding abstract loves in tangible futures, our own talks turning to family, surrogacy dreams, adoption hurdles navigated with lawyers and laughs. Evelyn's involvement, knitting booties and pastel rainbows, sealed her redemption, a grandmother in waiting. The narrative's turn, discovering Jordan's hidden blog, posts from his illness chronicling our potential. If I go, let Jamie love him like I couldn't fully. The digital diary, a time capsule, emotions raw, propelling a podcast collaboration, Jamie's voice narrating, mine illustrating episodes on queer legacies. Listeners flooded in, stories shared, a community forged from one man's unfinished tale. As summer waned, we stood on the bridge at dusk, city lights igniting, vowing not ends, but evolutions, love as horizon, ever receding yet approachable. The cycle of seasons blurred into a rhythm of resilience, our story no longer a linear path, but a spiral, each loop ascending through trials tempered by triumphs. 2 years post-Jordan, the apartment had evolved, walls adorned with our joint exhibit, echoes and edges, canvases capturing twin silhouettes merging into one, sold out in Chelsea to collectors who saw their own fractures reflected. Jamie's firm promoted him to partner, his first case a landmark win against a company firing queer employees, headlines proclaiming Heart's heart, from family shadows to justice light. But complacency was the enemy, and it struck via a curveball, an invitation to speak at Jordan's alma mater, a conservative college in upstate New York where he'd hidden his truth. Relive the nightmare? I balked, packing for the trip, suitcase half filled with doubts. Jamie's eyes, that blue so like his brother's, held steady. Rewrite it. For the kids still hiding. The drive north was nostalgic ache, memories of pickup weekends with Jordan flooding, stolen motels, laughter masking fear. On campus, the auditorium buzzed with uneasy energy, students a mix of allies and skeptics. Our talk? Unspoken bonds, loving beyond labels, unfolded raw. Jamie on twin telepathy's double edge, me on art as rebellion, slides of the mural intercut with Jordan's letters. Q&A turned tense, a professor challenging. Isn't this just white gay privilege? The critique landed, forcing reflection. Our platform built on cis male narratives, sidelining intersectional voices. Post-event, we sought out the POC Queer Club, amplifying their leaders, the pivot deepening our allyship, character growth etched in humility. Back home, personal tempests brewed. My mother's visit from Seattle, her liberal facade cracking over dinner when she confessed enabling my stepdad's biases. I didn't want to rock the boat, she admitted, tears salting the soup. The confrontation mirrored family arcs, forgiveness hard won, her departure with a pride pin pinned to her lapel a small victory. Jamie supported silently, his own therapy breakthrough, releasing Jordan's shadow, affirming his singularity, allowing space for mine. Sam's birth announcement shifted gears. Little Riley, a bundle of curiosity, became our North Star, babysitting nights filled with lullabies and lessons in legacy. Lena's poetry readings, with Jamie co-hosting, wove our circles tighter, community as antidote to isolation. Yet conflict climaxed unexpectedly. A documentary offer on the hearts, producers sniffing scandal, offering cash for candor. Exploit his death. Jamie raged, pacing, the temptation, funding our future, clashing with ethics. Debate raged nights, pros cons listed like battle plans, until we countered with our terms. Full control, focus on healing, proceeds to Sam's org. Production was grueling. Interviews dredging pain. Evelyn's on-camera breakdown a catharsis. But the film, Whispers No More, premiered at Tribeca to standing ovations, shifting dialogues on family bigotry. Claire's cameo, regretful reflection, humanized her, closure circling back. Twists abounded, discovering Jordan's sperm donation, anonymous but traceable, a potential sibling out there, ethics entangling dreams of biofamily. We opted for adoption pursuit, classes revealing depths, trauma-informed parenting, our histories as assets. Evelyn's volunteering at the agency sealed bonds, her arc complete in mentoring. Professionally, my graphic novel, Twin Flames, debuted. Jamie's forward a love letter in prose, bestseller status bringing tours where fans shared parallels, emotions exchanged like currency. His book, Silent No More, A Lawyer's Coming Out, complemented, panels packed with dialogue. The pinnacle, our commitment ceremony, rooftop under stars, Sam officiating with Lena holding Riley, Evelyn and Richard toasting with pride. Vows simple. Through messages heard and unheard, I choose you. Rings exchanged, kisses sealing, the night a crescendo of all, love's depth, friendship's breadth, prejudice's defeat. In Afterglow, on that fire escape eternal, Jamie whispered, the story continues. And so it does, page upon endless page.